The first case study I chose was an emerging leader, and it is case study 2.1. So first we will go over the summary. Tim self-reflects as a case study for nature versus nurture. Tim was abandoned at birth, and from these parents he received his natural characteristics. He is very people-oriented and loves being the center of attention. He is a great speaker, singer, actor, and teacher. He is confident and has charisma. From his adoptive parents, he received the value of work ethic, family values, and a generous spirit. With these two sets of characteristics, he was able to excel early on in life. He has worked at Derek Jeter's Turn 2 Foundations right after high school, and throughout college, he worked as a bank collector. He actually did well as a debt collector because he attempted to help people rather than simply collect debt. He earned a master's degree in communication at 28 and became the executive director of Douglas Community Association, an agency that provides opportunities for youth development, education, healthy living, and leadership. He did well, but struggled to handle the inner workings of the agency and its staff. He realized there was something lacking in his personal leadership ability and entered advanced leadership training at the Center of Creative Leadership. I like Tim's story. He seems to be very considerate of the influences he has had on his life and very self-aware of his natural characteristics. So the next thing we're going to consider is nature versus nurture. And on nature, I believe that both nature and nurture play an important role in Tim's success, although nurture might have a slight advantage. As an extrovert, he has social skills that has allowed him to excel throughout his life. He is a good speaker, teacher, and people-oriented. However, the way in which his family raised him has played a considerable role in his success. Next, we look at nurture. So next, we're going to look at nurture. He describes his family as being lovers of God, family, philanthropy, and simply having a great work ethic. There are good and bad qualities in all of our nature. Life experiences, examples, and role models play a key role in fostering those traits in order for us to become our best selves. He has dedicated himself to be better by investing in his intelligence by attending an advanced leadership course. Next, we'll look at personal applications. Tim's leadership style depicted a lot of charisma and sociability. I would like to work more in the community and be able to find more purpose in my work. The book does outline some ways that I can improve in these areas, so we're going to look at sociability. To improve sociability, you can be friendly, thoughtful, and give support to others. That brings about positivity to others within the group. And then to improve my charisma, I can model the desires and values I want to see in others. And then if I work on my social ability, charisma, then I can go be more community involvement because Tim was very community involved. In the conclusion, leadership in the workplace, I chose case study 2.1 because it is about distinguishing between your natural leadership abilities and those abilities that you have been taught. I personally think that self-reflection is so important to leadership. In today's workplace, you have to know your strengths and the areas where you could improve in order to lead others to see their own full potential. Case study 7.1 is titled A Clean Slate, and the first thing we're going to do is look at the summary. Nick Gibbons has an impressive resume, alumni of Columbia University's prestigious School of Journalism, reporter for 10 years, and current editor of a newspaper located in a Midwestern town of about 100,000 people. He is responsible for a large staff of reporters and writers. The media group who owned his company, the newspaper, announced that they would be reducing printed newspapers to 3 days a week rather than daily, as it had been running. Instead, the news would be published digitally, which would result in 75% reduction in staff. Nick knew that digital was the only way to go, as the newspaper had been losing subscribers and revenue for years. He had a very tough job ahead of him, as the entire culture would have to change. He informed staff that they would be losing their current positions in 3 months, however, they could reapply for new positions within the company. 80% of the staff were rehired and ready to look towards the future. He then moved the company to a very public office so the public could observe the printing process. The public rejected the change at first, but after 4 years, their subscriptions came up and their advertising staff are starting to be successful through targeted digital ads. So we're going to talk about vision in this section. Nick knew, just as his superiors did, that digital media was the future, and that completely printed news was on its way out. He did struggle with the loss of jobs, but ultimately tried to hire back his best talent. So there were some steps that he took in creating this new vision he had for the company. Nick wanted to build a newspaper agency from the ground up. He knew that he would have to create a new culture for the public and for the staff. So the employees, he wanted employees to look towards the future and be positive and driven to perform well in their new positions. He ended up hiring 80% of the staff back, which he described as the brightest and best. He also wanted the public to be involved and catered to them by letting them watch the printing process and better serving advertisers in digital ads. He also created a website dedicated to local events within the community. Lastly, he created the forgiveness factor, which meant that he did not expect perfection from his staff, but he did expect determination and dedication. Nick's ultimate vision was to create a new culture where digital information outlets were accepted and eventually thriving. Nick had to try and change the value systems in the communities and his employees. So next we're going to look at values. And in the employees, Nick would have to change attitudes from simply coming to work and performing their jobs to determined, positive, and driven attitudes. He would have to change the values from the community and his staff, from decades of printed news to that of digital, which was no easy task. In the community, Nick really wanted to gain public favor. By allowing the public to watch the printing process, he reassured them that it is not gone or forgotten. It would still be in production, just at a smaller scale. And he did a wonderful job at implementing his new strategy. The book gives this example. The staff had originally discontinued their local events listings. The community hated this decision, so as a way to integrate the community's goodwill in the digital era, Gibson created a website to host local events. Community members would submit information electronically, which allowed them to be involved in his vision. And this brings us to our conclusion. Nick is a very calculated leader, and I believe he'll do well. Vision is very clear, and he is dedicated to leading the community, subscribers, and staff into a more profitable era. I chose case study 7.1 because vision is a very important and interesting topic to me. The case study was very good at describing a situation where the value system of a company and community had to be changed in order to be more profitable. In today's workplace, it is important to know what the vision of your company is. Visions define everything from values to goals that the company has set in place. It is also important that you know how to convey this message to your followers.